Hi listeners. Today for this video I'm going to be going through this book. I had a request for it on my channel when I was going through my library to go through the pages of this book. It is a book that shows various designs from Apple over the years. So I'm just going to flip through some of the pages and talk about a few things. So the cover has this at the top, but mostly it's white. To fit it all in, I've got to have a little bit hang off the top here. So the first part is the text, just talking about what's going to show up. There's a picture of the 20th anniversary Mac. So the first part of this is all text. And then in the middle starts the pictures. And I know that's what we're all interested in anyway, so. Okay. So here we have kind of the basic, very, very beginnings of Apple. We have the Apple, the first Apple computer made. And then this is the first Apple computer that actually had a plastic case and was like more than just a hobby kit. And this is the Apple III. The monstrosity that is. This is the hard drive, I believe. That's how big they were. Massive things. And this is the Lisa computer. This is the forerunner of the Macintosh. It was made primarily for business owners and businesses and business owners. And again, this hard drive held a megabyte, if you're lucky. A megabyte hard drive was huge back then. That was a lot of storage, if you can imagine that. So then this picture shows some of the original designs for the Mac, just some pencil sketches of some potential designs. And then of course this is the finished design on this side with the classic hello written and the mouse and the keyboard. I have 3 of these in my office. I really like Mac from a design standpoint, and so I really like this book. And here's Macs on the assembly line getting ready to go out. So this shows some other potential designs for some other Macs after the first ones came out. You can see they're already talking about laptops and some different designs for how the all-in-one computer would look. Basically, Apple's looking for a design language. This is their first design language with the kind of dark beige color, and you can see there's a bevel all along here and the bevel along this, and this is kind of a design language that they used for their first computers, including the Apple IIs and stuff. Then they wanted a different design language, so they kind of just started playing with different ideas, different styles, and they eventually hit on some basic themes to use, and most of those themes are embodied here. If you zoom in this video and watch it full screen, you can probably see some of these details. You'll see these stripes here, these long lines that go all the way around the computer. You'll see that over and over and over again, that Apple will use that. They called this design the Snow White design. And then these are fonts that they came up with to put on the keyboard. This italicized lowercase letters. So you'll see those being used over and over again. So basically, once they settled on the Snow White design, they started making some different concepts based on that. You'll see here the stripes and the lines being used over and over again as a texture, and also the lighter off-white color used in all the plastics. So they settled on a design language and then moved from there. And so then they're just kind of playing around with some different things. So here you have yellow and black, and this is a light blue, but you still have these stripes here going all the way around. And here on these are just some futuristic concepts for phones. And this says 1983, so that's about the time where these were being design concepts were being pushed around in Apple, and just kind of basically seeing what works, always constantly pushing the designs, even though they may never show up in production. They're at least trying new things. And ever so often you'll see something like this that'll be used in an actual product. So then they started thinking about a new Macintosh design. And so, using the same Snow White concept, they started working with what possibly it could look like. And this one is called Baby Mac, and this one was called Big Mac. And but sticking with that, everything in one component, in one case, and just a keyboard and a mouse. So, and the design isn't just for the big stuff. The design is also for the small stuff. So these are all connectors and cables that would be used with your computer. And again, we see those white, well, I keep calling them white stripes, but they're the grooves in the white plastic that permeate every single piece that's used. And I think that's one of the things I like about Apple and what they do, is that it is so thorough that even the connectors and the little plugs are thought about and designed, and they fit in with the full design language of the entire process. And that's an attention to detail that I think has really served them well. So, and I thought this was really neat. This is a concept that they came up with. It was called the Jonathan, because Jonathan is another type of apple. It was basically these boxes in black plastic, but then you could stack them up and dock them into these components. And so, like, this is a drawer for storage, but then these are hard drives and floppy drives, and they just all stack up and become the base of the computer. So if you only need a few of them for a small computer, you only stack a few of them up. But if you need a lot for a super charged computer, you could put a whole bunch of hard drives and they'd all just kind of dock together. I thought that was a really neat idea. But again, even though the plastic is black on this, we still see those grooves there carrying through. But this is eventually what they came up with and went with, which is the Macintosh 2. And I remember when this came out. This is the first Mac that had color, and I remember thinking that was just absolutely so awesome. And we see the grooves here on the top, not as prominent, just kind of on the top, being covered up by the monitor, and the mouse, and the new keyboard, and the power button there on the top of the keyboard. This was probably about a $10,000 to $12,000 computer when it came out. And so then they updated the Macs with the Mac SE, and you see those white grooves appeared on the front of the Mac. So here we have some different concepts for some new designs for computers. And this design here will come back when Apple makes the Pippin, which is their gaming console. They use something very similar to this, and it's later on in the book. And so here we have the Mac server, which is huge, massive computer, lots of grooves. And this shows when you take a design concept and you stick with it no matter what. Sometimes it can get a little bit ridiculous. This thing is absolutely massive, and you open it up and there's even more grooves. They just put grooves all over this thing. So sometimes even the best design language can be abused. And here's the famous Knowledge Navigator concept that Apple came up with. This is back in '87. A notebook that you would open up and be able to interact with the screen. And it would have a camera, and you could, it would have voice, and it would talk to you and play videos and stuff. And they actually came up with a commercial about the Knowledge Navigator. So this is kind of like the dream that Steve Jobs always had, which I think finally came to fruition with the iPad. But it's so cool to see that even way back in '87, these things were being started and were important to them, and it's what they were striving for. This is a design for the first Mac Portable. Can't really call it a laptop because it was like 15 pounds. It would crush your lap if you tried to use it for very long. So they call it a portable. One of the few complete failures that Apple actually created, but it was a monster. And here's some other concepts for it, but this is the final version that actually got produced. So then we're now in 1989, and Apple is looking to come out with a completely new type of computer based upon the Motorola RISC processor. And so they really want to make a new design language. And so that's basically, they want to do something different than the Snow White language. So they hire a bunch of designers to come in and design this computer for them, or different concepts for this computer that then they can pick. And you have some very geometric shapes here. You can definitely tell this is the late '80s. With the pyramids and just the very geometric, sharp edges. I think it looks cool, but it definitely looks dated. Same with this. I really like the look of this, but it definitely screams that it was designed in the late '80s. And they actually had Porsche come in and design a computer, and because they're car designers, their computer looks very much like a car, very aerodynamic and pointy and stuff. And I thought this was a cool design. This is basically the front of it, and then this is the back of it. And I think this is a hinge, and it just kind of opens up for stability, but then it can collapse. Again, very interesting concept. I love this little hint of yellow down here with kind of the black-gray plastic, and you'll see more and more of this color appearing in Apple products, this color plastic. So these are some concepts a little bit further down the line in concept. You have the much more rounded edges, much more softer edges, and that's one of the things that will carry through in the new design language that eventually emerges. Is a feeling of something a lot more softer. There's more concepts for some different portable computers, smaller footprint, kind of like a laptop. It's amazing that we come to think of like the laptop design as pretty ubiquitous now. But there was all these different other designs that were thrown around as possibilities that ultimately got rejected. But it's neat to see the different things that people were using to explore the process. So here we have the first true Mac laptop that came out much later than the Mac Portable, a few years later. And you'll see it has that dark gray plastic, which is for a long time was used primarily for the Apple MacBooks and the portable computers. But really that's all about you can say for this. It's pretty generic in its design. Nothing that really screams a design language. And now we're back to some very fanciful designs that Apple was kind of working, just futuristic projects that help companies push the envelope and think of new things. This is like a navigator that would, or GPS, that would show you different places around town, and you could hook it to your bike or in your car, and it would help you find ways and places to go. And I always thought this was very bizarre. It's called the Exchanger, and I don't know if you put money in and it spit money out. How that exactly worked, but it's a definitely interesting concept. I think if you stored money in it, people would just buy them and break them open and take the money. But apparently money goes in here and money comes out here. So anyway. So this is a Macintosh that they produced. I actually owned one of these. It's called the Mac Duo, and it was a regular computer. It had a body here and the screen and the keyboard, but the laptop fit in to this base, and you pushed a button and it spit out, and then you could take the laptop with you. I loved this computer. It wasn't tremendously powerful, but I loved the ability to come home, slip the laptop in, and have a fully functional computer. And it made the coolest sound when you push this in, and the gears would grab a hold of the laptop and pull it in, and it would just click in place with a very satisfying click motor sound. But I think the other important part of this is right here at the feet. You're going to start to see the beginnings of the next major design language that Apple is going to use in their products. You still have the white grooves of the Snow White, but you see that this plastic is kind of bulging out and like little feet. And you have this white plastic here that is being pushed up like it's soft. And as we go forward with Mac designs, you'll see much more and more of that coming through. And here we have the next version of the all-in-one Mac that was put out, the Macintosh Color Classic. It had a color screen, and it had this really funky feet on it. And the grooves of the Snow White design have been turned. Before they always went horizontally. Now they're vertical, and they've got a little bit of a funky design to them. You can see here. So we're starting to change the design language slowly. And here we have, again, another concepts for handheld tablet computers. Working with tablet computers that would dock into a station. It would have styluses, and this has a camera that would link up to it. So again, really pushing the envelope as far as it would all fit into a bag, and you could carry it with you and then set up a workstation like that. again, is a really neat concept. So now we have, this is a Macintosh Quadro. This design stayed around for a very long time. I owned one or two computers that looked like this and worked on some of them at the places that I worked. Very, very tough to open up and work on. It was like a 10-step process, and to do anything you had to take the motherboard out. This is, from a design standpoint, as far as how it's put together, it was kind of a low point for Apple. The insides of this thing are just terrible to get to and do anything with. It was just a mess, and I had to do it several times. I don't have fond memories of this computer. I mean, it worked well, but you just don't have to get into it. And by comparison, the Apple's Tower Macs that they make today are just a dream to work with. This is another low point for Mac design. This thing is just a monstrosity. It was called the Macintosh TV, and it was basically exactly that. It was a Mac. It could also receive TV signals and play them here on the screen, and it was the only one of these of the Mac that actually had the black plastic that wasn't a laptop, and it was just hulking and just clunky. I mean, it was wide here at the top, and it got smaller, so it looked like it was going to tip over. Just really bad design all the way around. And here we have some other printer designs. Remember that Apple used to make their own printers, or at least they got the guts of them from HP, I think, or it's different, but they put their own shells on them and marketed them and sold them themselves. But they've simplified that since then. And here we have finally, after years of working on it, Apple finally came out with a handheld device called the Newton. And even though at the time people made a lot of fun of it, it was truly revolutionary for what it tried to accomplish in such a small package, and especially for the time, because we were talking about 1993, 94, and it had a black and white screen, but it had handwriting recognition. Even though it wasn't all that great, it was definitely different than anything else that was on the market, and really pushed this area forward. Apple kind of proved that there was a market for it, and other companies came along and like Palm and really helped establish the market, but Apple was the first one to actually take a step. Again, this is like a tablet with a stylus, but it also has a CD tray in it. Very interesting concept. And this is the first one that really shows the new design language. The soft edges that kind of push out and then are constrained, and it's like a pillow if you put a string around it in certain areas and you pinched it in some areas and it ballooned out in others. And you're going to see this like something that's being constrained, it's being held in, it's got a lot of power, and that power is being contained. You're going to see a lot more of that, especially in the Apple's laptop designs. Here's a quick take camera. I used these in a business. We actually bought one or two of them. They're kind of a first digital camera. Again, pushing the envelope. Way before digital cameras became really popular. Apple was making them. This is the next generation of the Newton, the message pad. Again, we have these edges that are bowed out and it's constrained at a point and then bow out again. This idea of power being held under control, I think, is how they expressed it in the book. This is a StyleWriter, another printer. And this is a concept for a Newton pad, kind of like an iPad. And this is back in, let's see what date, 93, 94. Another idea, so you have this little bulging feet here, just a little bit. You still have the stripes, even all the way in 95. You still have this plastic with the Snow White design, so that design concept lasted a very long time. And here we have the Pippin, Apple's game console that they tried to launch. And here's the final design, looking very similar to that that old design way back then of that Mac, with the kind of a pyramid look chopped off at the top. And this has dots all on the top instead of grooves. So here we have really pushing now this new design concept of the softer curves and the feet here at the bottom. And then this really is strong with these bands, and then it pushes out, bulges out like it's soft plastic that's being held in by a strap, and it's bulging out on either side. And I really like this design. I worked with a few Macs that were like this. These are a little bit easier to get into. The whole top folded down, and you could get into it a little bit better. Here we have some more laptops. And here we have the eMate, which is basically a Newton computer that was put into a clear plastic shell. And this was designed for school children. This closed, and there was a handle in the back that they could hold it with, and easily transported. It was rugged, and the stylus went right in there. And so students could carry around a computer and close it up in a clamshell, and it would be safe, and it could be bumped around and put in a backpack and stuff. And this is the first time that Apple used this clear, bright plastic in a design. And this is 96, 97. So now we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of the Mac. And so they started looking for ideas for designing a Mac that would celebrate the 20th anniversary of Apple. So these are some very different concepts of pushing the envelope. There's some more designs that they had made. Again, just trying to find a new look for this and take the concepts that they like. I always liked this one here. I thought this was cool with the CD exposed and the monitor on this boom arm that would swing around. And these look like sheets of paper or something bending and all following the same sweeping arc. I thought that was cool. And then this is a lot closer to the actual final design. And again, getting closer until you have this, which is the 20th anniversary Mac. And this is what it looked like. Again, not spectacular, but definitely different. Flat LCD screens back then were not common. This was the high-end stuff to have this something this thin. And a CD tray here at the bottom and a Bose speaker. So it pushed the envelope a lot in how the components that were used. Even though design-wise it's pretty mediocre, and it was very expensive, but it included someone who would come to your office and install it for you and set everything up for you, which is kind of an interesting concept. So, and that's pretty much where this book ends. They do a few of these colors, these pictures of colorful pieces of plastic, kind of seeing where Apple is going to go from here. And so, obviously where they went from here was the iMac, and went from there, and Jonathan Ives became pretty much the designer when Steve Jobs came back. But this this book takes us all the way up to just before that that transformation of making those really very, very beautiful computers. So some great stuff in this book and some not so great stuff. You can see the highs and lows of Apple as they go, and always making nice products, but some of them were actually beautiful and great, and some of them were just kind of average and mediocre. But I really like this book. The rest of it goes back to text, and it completes the story on this side. So, well, this has been another huge long video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed going through this book with you. I promise I will try to make some shorter videos, but everything just seems, my ideas seem to always take up a lot of time. But hopefully that's nice. You can just let the video play and listen to my voice, and you don't have to worry about clicking to a new video after a few minutes. So let me know what you think about the longer format, and if you would like to see some shorter ones, I will try to think of some concepts that can fit within a certain time limit, or if you really like the longer ones. Please subscribe, like my videos, share my videos. I really enjoy doing this for you guys, and thank you for watching. I'm glad you like the things that I'm showing you. I try to make them somewhat educational and interesting, and share some of the things that interest me with you guys. Let me know any ideas you have. You guys have been fantastic with providing me with some concepts to work with. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.